Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and this is our Friday night Smackdown review, and god damn, I love this episode. Guys, let me tell you something. If NXT was kind of a meh episode, save for the main event angles of, Cole and O'Reilly, and I did like Bauer's end of the stuff with Trashbag QAnon Cross. This episode just, I think, got every performer that I love, or that at least I can appreciate for the role that they've kind of been slotted into in the product, just so well. Even the more mid-card stuff, like the tag titles and Zane Owens, I really liked how they handled it tonight. I thought this was a stellar episode, and the main event scene with the Universal title, man, did they elevate that shit. I know it's going to be divisive for a lot of people on Twitter. Oh, Bryan's in this match or whatever, but I liked how they narratively arrived at it. And look, with how selfless Bryan has fucking been, as a performer, I know we're not officially WrestleMania Premium Predictions. I think he's in this either to eat a fall, maybe to take it. I don't know. We'll have to see at Mania, but I highly doubt that. But I just think from a match quality standpoint, Roman and Edge, I'm not saying it would have been, in the shitter. I think they could have done something good. But I think, it's good for Edge at like 47 fucking years old to have somebody to divvy up the labor with Roman Reigns. So I think this main event got elevated big time. I care a lot more. And speaking of Edge, they fucking fine-tuned him up tonight. And I care about him more now, given that he's kind of, indulging a little bit. I mean, I have been on this man's ass. I have said, stop aging. You're so old. And Edge looked at me with the most memeable face in all of professional wrestling. And he said, I'm not going to stop aging. I'm going to do the one thing that old people do better than anyone else. Be angry and be entitled and do something about it. And boy, did he fucking ever. Edge was stellar in this. So really, rather than just do a one-man review, I'm going to stop myself there. What did you think of tonight's episode, bud?
To be fair, this is probably going to be like a 1 1/4 man review, with the one being you and the quarter being me, because I very, very much missed a lot of this show. I missed the first half hour and the last 20 minutes. So maybe 1.5 man show. So, so I saw the middle hour basically of this show. And I did enjoy what I saw. There is some stuff that I do have some problems with. Maybe the beginning and end were just that good that you loved it because of how good those were, and I'm not as high on it because I didn't see the great parts. But the middle stuff that I did see was okay, and there were some issues that I want to talk about in our first segment.
Heat of the night. Honestly, man, for me, I can't think of any complaints, which isn't to say that there aren't any. Sometimes you have a heat of the night that I'm like, oh, that's something I didn't think about. So floor is yours, man, because I got nothing. What do you want to air out here?
All right, so I really, it's more of the heat of the week, if you can remember those segments, because this applies both to tonight and to Raw. And the problem I have is how incredibly rushed a lot of the build to WrestleMania feels. And it applies to tonight because of how random the Zayn Owens feud feels. Like, that feels like very thrown together. And it applies to Raw because of how out of nowhere the Rhea Ripley Asuka thing came from. I don't like matches that maybe there is some deeper history if you go back far enough, which is more the truth for the Zayn Owens thing for tonight. But at the end of the day, it's completely out of nowhere. Zayn literally just last week randomly went up to Owens for seemingly no goddamn reason and was just like, hey man, let me get you on this documentary. And he attacked him after the match, but now this week they have a match at WrestleMania, and it's like, we're supposed to be invested in this. I don't get that. The Rhea Asuka thing, again, like, Rhea was getting built up. She hadn't even properly debuted on Raw yet, and her literal first appearance is to challenge Asuka and get an actual shot at the women's title. I don't like WrestleMania matches feeling thrown together, and that's what those two specifically do to me.
Yeah, that's definitely fair. I definitely, I don't really have any kind of soapbox I could stand on to do any kind of contrarian advocacy. I do think, it's Mania. When you're at a WrestleMania, every match should feel important either because of the narrative that's baked into it or even because of the prop you're using to imbue importance like a championship, right? So either you're going in as a champion and that's important because your title could change hands, or it's like a really personal feud, or at times when you do really good storytelling, it's both. Because maybe you're a world champion and you're a real prick and the babyface got an axe to grind with you and they want the gold. But there should never be like a, just thrown together. Because even with titles, you'd like to think there was some kind of contendership earned there. Maybe Rhea Ripley could have run a gauntlet or something. Maybe she could have pinned Asuka in a tag match. Like, say what we will about Raquel Gonzalez, but she pinned Io all the way back at War Games, right? And we didn't forget. And Io came to challenge her probably because she didn't forget. So even though Raquel was green as goose shit, from like a narrative standpoint, she's more of a legitimate contender than Rhea Ripley coming out here and just challenging Asuka, because you can trace the thread back to, oh, that's why Raquel's getting a title shot, when Rhea is just now establishing history with Asuka. So I'm sympathetic to your point there, for sure.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, at least with the Rhea thing, I kind of get why they had to do it, because it was obviously supposed to be Charlotte, but then Charlotte got COVID, so they had to, like, scramble and find a replacement, and Rhea, because she's the only woman on Raw that hasn't been ruined by horrible Raw booking, made the most sense and has the most credibility to do that. SmackDown, though, this Owens-Zayn feud feels so random, and I hate it. I really hate it. Like, we've seen these guys go at it so many times already. And yeah, there's a new twist in the sense that Owens is the face and Sami is the heel, but if you watch tonight's KO show, Owens doesn't even feel like a face anymore. Owens feels like a fucking dickhead tonight.
I mean, he did get his head kicked off pretty violently last week, dude. I don't know if I'd be in such a good mood either.
You're absolutely right. He did. And that right there is the one and only thing that is really making this feud feel like anything other than a complete thrown together mishmash. Because, yeah, it does make sense that Owens would be pissed at Sami, but I don't know. I feel like if Owens was a real friend to Sami Zayn, which I think that it's being proven over and over again that he isn't, but if he was, and if he was this good guy that we're supposed to get behind and cheer, he wouldn't be taking it out on Sami violently. He would be trying to get Sami help, for fuck's sake. Sami clearly has some kind of brainwashing going on. He's not well mentally, and Owens is taking it out on him by beating the fuck out of him.
Yeah, I do think you raise an important point there. I will say this, and I'm a huge Kevin Owens fan. I think I have been riding with this man harder the last couple months than I have even like the last few years or so, just because I've loved the babyface run so much. What I wanted from this KO show tonight was him just talking about his relationship with Sami, because he kind of touched on that last week. Like, I've known you a long time. Nothing's ever been your fault. Now, granted, maybe WWE didn't want to trek that ground because we remember heel KO, right? And heel KO, they're not innocent, to say the least. But it would have been nice if he really got into the psyche of Sami, like, when did this conspiracy kind of stuff start for you? And then maybe they kind of look back at Sami's, like, maybe last year or two in the company and say, look, man, I know things haven't been easy for you in WWE. I know I haven't always done the right thing in WWE, and maybe I could have been a better friend to you. Like, I wanted something vulnerable and something a bit more real. And if it was still going to end in a stunner, because maybe Sami wouldn't listen to reason, right? Because we talk about that cognitive dissonance and shit. That does happen in real life. Sometimes you try and get to people, and they're so ideologically co-opted. They've been so red-pilled or this pilled or that pilled. There's just no reaching them. Then, yeah, in a wrestling context, I can understand a stunner because, maybe you'll understand by force, brothers fight kind of thing, kind of bullshit.
Yeah.
But I would have liked something a bit more vulnerable and a bit more real preceding that, rather than Sami, being, in the words of Johnny Gargano, cuckoo bananas, and Kevin just, like, being like, that isn't what I wanted to ask you, that isn't what I wanted to ask you, and then just being really yelly about what he did want to ask Sami. I wanted to really see that friendship on display, but Sami not embrace that friendship. So again, I think it's something that I can be sympathetic with you about. Just in terms of, you've got two amazing performers. I think you could tell a bit of a heftier story than this.
Yeah, absolutely. That's that's part of where I'm going here. Like, it just feels like Sami's this crazy, kooky conspiracy theorist, and, like, he's obviously not well, but Kevin Owens, who's supposed to be the guy that we're rooting for, is so emotionally immature that he doesn't know how to help Sami with his words, so he just takes it out on him with his physical actions and violence.
Or, at the very least, because Foster's saying, Kevin did come out on commentary, which Sami invited him to do last week, spy on the referee, and then when Kevin tried to explain to Sami, like, The referee was doing his job and this and that. Sammy resorted to force. But I still think it would have been more interesting, though, that, like, as a babyface, fine, he kicked my head off, but he's still my brother, and I'm not just going to retaliate with that violence just because he did violence first. Maybe if it was Roman Reigns, maybe if it was an Edge or whatever, but this is Sammy. And Sammy and I have a lot of years together. So, again, would have liked a bit more depth there. So, yeah. All right. Anything else you want to talk about?
Heat of the night wise, I don't think so. No. I mean, yeah, no. I mean, Dolph Ziggler can fuck off, but he's a heel, so he's supposed to make me feel that way. So yeah, we're good.
Yeah. All right. Then let's get into our Friday night Smackdown review. We have Daniel Bryan come out, steel chair in hand. He comes to the ring, and he recaps the match at Fastlane. And says, Roman Reigns said that he'd rather die than tap out to a man like me. Well, good news. Roman is alive, and he tapped out to Daniel Bryan. Now, here's one thing I didn't like about Bryan's promo, and I know, Javaris, you came in hot saying Daniel really pissed you off tonight. I will give one nitpick to Bryan's promo. He said he's earned it. He's earned the main event of WrestleMania because he did make Roman tap out, but Edge hit him with a steel chair, all that stuff. But we need to start, and I get that Edge has completely turned the fuck up, okay? And I'm loving it, and we'll get to Edge in a second. But, Edge did win the Royal Rumble, and I'm glad that Edge hasn't stopped reminding people of that, because even if he is supposed to be more heelish, not only did he win the Royal Rumble, he won it from number fucking 1. I'm sorry, this isn't even me trying to be Johnny Scumbag, because like I said, I've retired that character. This really isn't that. But if I won the Royal Rumble at number 1, and other people were trying to fuck with my shit, yeah, I think I feel a certain way about it. I feel a certain way about it regardless because I won the Royal Rumble. But you're telling me I went that whole distance. I didn't do that injury bullshit like Randy Orton did. I stayed in the whole fucking thing at 47 years old, if you want to get a bit, shoot on it. And then this motherfucker's coming in and being like, well, I earned it and it could be my last WrestleMania. I loved what Edge had at one retort. Every match that I have in this ring could be my last match. And, Edge got real with Bryan. And that's kind of the shame of it because, I do like Bryan. I support him. I stand by everything I said in the beginning. His addition to this, to me, I look at it as a positive. I'm sorry. I think match quality-wise, narratively speaking, on every front, to me, this is an upgrade. Especially because where it forced Edge to go into, my mind, a more interesting character. But I did like that Edge spoke his shit, man. Edge talked his shit tonight. He's like, I won the Royal Rumble. Every match I have in this ring could be my last match. And, you lost to Roman Reigns twice. So, you get in the back of the line, you're not getting the main event, you son of a bitch. And then Bryan does a double leg takedown to him. And, he starts, punching him, in the face and everything. But then Edge quickly gets the upper hand, with the spear. And I think he does hit him one time with the chair that Bryan brought in the ring. And Edge is just looking crazed, man. I actually was smiling so big seeing Edge tap, or Edge snap. Maybe he'll tap at WrestleMania. We'll have to get to preview predictions for that. But no, seeing Edge snap, because, my God, that's the Edge. Listen, bro, listen. You've had a storied career. You've done fucking everything. But the one thing you excel at is being so goddamn memeable. And you reach your peak when you're an angry heel. I pull my hair very aggressively because I deserve things. That's your energy. That's your lane. That's your brand. And I'm here for it. I'm here for it every goddamn week. And yeah, I loved it. I love that Edge is gone here. I love that we have. And really, depending on which side you're on, and I agree, Javen, Psycho Edge is always best Edge. Fuck yes. I don't even know if you could call Edge a heel, because, he hasn't said anything wrong. You know what I mean? He did win the Rumble. Bryan did lose twice. Now, granted, those 2 times were heavily marred by controversy, and Edge left that out the same way Bryan left out Edge's Rumble victory. But, I look at Edge more as, me personally, I look at him more as a tweener. Really, to me, Roman is the only definitive heel here. Bryan's the pure, white meat babyface. Edge is the fucking tweener. Yes. Roman's the heel.
Yep.
That's how I see it.
And I like that dynamic, and that, I really, really do appreciate that they decided to not just have it be Edge versus Roman one-on-one and expect people to be like, oh man, it's the Cinderella story for Edge and stuff like that, because that feels kind of forced. and this feels a little more organic to me personally.
And actually, in all my excitement, I did forget one thing. Before Edge even came out, Pierce came out, and him and Bryan debated like what should be done about it, because Bryan originally wanted a match with Roman Reigns tonight on Smackdown. Like, he's not asking to be slotted in the main event or anything like that, right? He just wants a rematch with Roman Reigns. Pierce comes out because Bryan says he's not going to leave the ring until he does, and they actually take up a commercial break in this, and then they come back to Bryan still sitting in the chair. Then Pierce comes out, says more or less that's not going to happen. And then Bryan says, well, why don't I face the winner of that match immediately after? Pierce is like, oh, Bryan, you more than anybody know how unfair that is to have a person go through a grueling match only to defend the title again. Bryan rightfully points out that that's a double standard. Like, you're catering to Roman and you're doing all this shit for Roman, but another guy asks for it, and no, that's just not going to fly. And so then that's when Edge comes out, and Edge again, man, just had this look on his face like, I am so sick of your goddamn shit. It is me. It is Roman Reigns. You are the third wheel. You don't belong. That was just the energy he was emanating the whole time. And yeah, like, I can see both of their sides, honestly. Like, I really can. Like, I'm excited for it because I love matches where everybody seems to have a rightful claim. To me, this is better than when they fucking did it at WrestleMania 20 with Michael signing his name to the contract, because that was some weak shit to me. And WrestleMania 30, well, that was good because Bryan had to compete in one match, but I'm glad that we're not dragging it out like that. This might be the best done way, to me, that they've gotten to a match like this, because I think everybody has a rightful claim, and this is how we're fucking settling it. So
Can I ask you a
I'm
question?
here for it. Sure.
How would you feel if Roman pinned Bryan at Mania to retain, and that pissed Edge off? So rather than Edge keep trying to go after Roman to win the title, Edge turns his sights to Bryan. We get a Bryan-Edge feud for a few months, maybe a long enough feud to go up until SummerSlam and have a big blow-off there. Maybe even Hell in a Cell. I doubt that, though. But just the idea is, like, we get, like, a really intense personal Bryan-Edge feud. And then Roman moves on to a new opponent. Maybe it's Owens again. Maybe it's a freshly having lost his Intercontinental Championship, you know, kind of dropping the lead boots kind of Big E. Maybe it even is Apollo if he fails to win. I don't know. That wouldn't really make sense. They're both heel. But you get the idea. He moves on to a new opponent. And then at some point during his feud with said new opponent, Jey Uso turns on him, and it builds up to Roman Jey at SummerSlam.
Dude, I'd love that. Like, that's why, like, and I want to qualify here because Javaris and I did have a great conversation. I don't want to disrespect that conversation. I know when Javaris is saying that Bryan pissed him off, what he's actually saying is the way Bryan has been written into this storyline pisses me off. Because I think Javaris, and Javaris, you're in the chat, you can advocate for yourself, but the way I look at what you're saying is it's kind of disrespecting the Royal Rumble winner. Edge won the whole thing at number one. He should get the one-on-one title shot. But to me, I really look at this as a way, because what you just said, Ashton, and again, I only say this because we're not definitively at WrestleMania preview predictions yet, and I know we'll lock it in then. That's kind of what I see happening, truthfully. Like, Edge has made this shift to heel, which means we're going to have to wait on that Edge-Seth feud for a little while longer, which is one of the big Edge feuds I really wanted with his return, but I digress. I see Bryan existing to eat the pin to protect both guys. Because Edge, you know, just came back from the injury and stuff. I don't think they want him taking L's. Obviously, you've got something white hot with Roman as champion. Dude, you and I had that conversation on Facebook that, you know, Roman is the best Universal Champion that title has ever had.
Yeah.
Like, easily. They know they've got something hot with Roman. Bryan is here to eat the pin while elevating the match quality. Now, I can understand
that's what I'm thinking, too. Because, like, the last 3 years since Bryan came back, that's all he's done is just put everybody the fuck else over. And now he's been putting everyone over on his way into getting into this match, and now he's going to put someone else over in the match because he's in the match to eat the pin. Like, I feel like people aren't understanding Bryan's entire purpose in the WWE since he came back has been to get everybody the fuck else over. It's amazing.
And I don't... Do I really want to go this hard right now and be a dick? I think I do. I never remember. Now, granted, it was years ago, okay? And maybe I am forgetting something. I never remember people getting this up in arms when Bryan was over like fucking gangbusters about the sanctity of the Rumble when it should have been Batista Orton by that logic at WrestleMania 30. And, like, granted, Bryan won, and that was a different thing because it should have been his WrestleMania main event. It was WWE being stupid. But here's the thing. We say it's WWE being stupid, but still the logic holds. Like, well, Batista did win the Royal Rumble. He didn't ask for anybody to be in his match.
He did.
And
I believe he was younger then than Edge is now.
Yeah, and, like, dude, to me, this comes down to people liking Edge and Roman more now than they did Batista back then, which, again, I can understand, but if your logic is respect the Rumble, then your personal sentiments have nothing to do with that. I don't care if you like Edge more than you like Batista. I don't care if you like Roman more than you like Batista. You know, if you really believe that, then you should feel like the Yes Movement never should have happened at WrestleMania 30. By that logic, it should have been Batista, or with Batista maybe like winning both belts as originally I heard.
At the same time, Bryan was built up as a viable Royal Rumble winner this year too. He genuinely was like there. I think I might have even had him as my pick to win the Rumble at one point. And you know, so the idea that he wasn't even in the Rumble in 2014, to me, that makes it even worse.
I mean, look, Javaris, personally, like, if you said you had an issue with it then, fair enough. That's all I ask for is logical consistency, and I'm not going to challenge you on that. If you said it, I believe you. My thing is, if you wanted to avoid this whole goddamn thing, you should have had, even if you had Edge win the Rumble, right, I would have had him challenge Balor, because I love, dude, when you and I were talking about the possibilities for Edge going to NXT, I would have had him do that for that little bit, and then you could have just done Bryan Roman at fucking Mania, and, like, I don't think anybody would have had a fucking problem. Really, this is just WWE, I think, making not necessarily the wrong choices, although if you look at the backlash, maybe the wrong choices, but just choices that, like, we can't fully vibe with. We're still talking about this shit, right, and doing all this. So yeah, like, I don't know. Personally, I'm a fan of it. I'm liking where the story's going. I'm enjoying it. I think that's the point. It's just, you know, enjoy it as best you can. And I think everybody kind of has a point, as Foster said earlier in the chat. So I'm going to move on from this, because I know you said it's going to be like a man and a quarter, you know, me being the full kind of review and you being the quarter. So then we get Roman, Heyman, and Jey Uso. You know, Heyman's kind of stoking Roman's ego. But then, you know, Roman just says, like, get me Adam Pearce. And Heyman says, you know, with pleasure. He says to Jey Uso, you go with him, use force if you have to. Jey Uso's like, you sure? And Roman's like, what are they going to do, fire us? And, you know, Jey kind of smiles and he goes. So clearly Roman wants to have words with Adam Pearce. Then we get Seth Rollins versus Nakamura. Fun freaking matchup here. I would even argue that it might have been a bit better than what they did at Fastlane, only because, you know, it wasn't as long, and I feel like it had a quicker pace to it.
Yeah.
But Rollins does ultimately win again with the curb stomp. It's just good to see Nakamura in competitive matches personally. And then, like, after the match, Rollins is looking to curb stomp Nakamura again, but Cesaro is back. And, man, he fucking manhandles Seth. He uppercuts him, then he does the Swiss Death uppercut, which Seth sells brilliantly. Oh, by the way, the best part about this, which I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this, so when Cesaro first comes out, right, him and Seth are kind of like brawling, you know, doing the whole fisticuff shit. And then out of nowhere, like with an explosiveness, Cesaro just grabs Seth and he gut-wrench suplexes him.
Yep.
Like, it's beautiful. Oh my God.
Yeah, I actually saw this part. I actually saw the very end of this match and then the Cesaro attack afterwards.
Oh, good. So then you know that, like, Cesaro did try and swing Seth, but Seth escaped. Cesaro then,
but he ended up getting him later on in the back.
Oh, dude, did he ever. I am really hyped for this match, honestly. Like, I even tweeted, not to, like, skip ahead of segments or anything, but, like, Seth does challenge Cesaro at Mania, you know, in the back. Cesaro attacks him from behind, because Seth is just as apoplectic as Sami Zayn is. I'm sick of it, and then he gets attacked. Seth does swing him a few times, and he says, you know, challenge accepted. This could be one of the best matches of the weekend. Like, I am really hyped for this. Cesaro
is the thing about WrestleMania. Like, the card itself, like, just on paper, like, almost like if it was just a PWG show without a story, looks fucking amazing. It looks so good. But it's WWE, and you expect the story to be better. You know?
Oh, dude, absolutely. Can I just say, and I only want to say this because you kind of broached this subject in the first segment, like with your fantasy booking about where they could go with Roman, talking about another challenger. I love Kevin to death, and I do want him and Roman to go at it again. I may be in the minority opinion on that. I love those two interacting.
Cesaro.
But Cesaro should be.
He beats Seth at Mania, though.
Which I'm really hoping he does, dude. Because, dude, here's my thing. You have Cesaro beat Seth at Mania. You can immediately slot him in as number one contender for the pay-per-view after. Now, for all the debates we've had about Bryan, I highly doubt anybody would have any complaints about Cesaro Roman for one, maybe two pay-per-views after Mania. Because the dude's never gotten a one-on-one world title opportunity. Like, come the fuck on now. Like, he's new. In that sense, he's new. I don't think him and Roman have ever had like a one-on-one singles feud, and that's actually one of the people I've always wanted Roman to feud with. This Roman? Hell the fuck yes. A heel Roman getting swung by Cesaro.
I was even going to say, this version of Roman being actually just manhandled by Cesaro would be an amazing sight to see.
And dude, given that Heyman, because you know I watch Talking Smack, and given that Heyman has managed both these guys, but he did shit for Cesaro's career, like he could even be nervous because he's like, oh god, like, if I just would have been a better manager and gotten him a world title early, he wouldn't be so hungry right now. And, like, Heyman is so good at conveying fear on behalf of Roman. He did it for the KO feud. So when Cesaro is talking his shit, which when you give him a mic and you give him the wide berth to talk and figure his shit out like Talking Smack does, he's actually pretty good. I could just see Heyman's facial expressions just cycling through the emotions like, oh my god, he's really going to do it. Oh my god, he's serious. Like, he's really going to make a run at it. I don't know if Roman knows what he's in for. Like, I love it. He needs to beat Seth at Mania. I'm saying that right now ahead of preview predictions. I don't know what I'm going to predict. This could be one of those things where I'm like, oh yeah, Cesaro needs to beat Seth, and then my tail between my legs, Seth's going to win. But, like, I really, really, really want Cesaro to win this, and I want him to be Roman's next challenger. Yeah. I
want to live in the world that you're right, but I've been just assuming this entire time that Seth was going to win.
Dude, just to respond to you there, right, since we're having this conversation, I totally get that, and I'm not saying you are wrong, but if they do that, man, like, low-key, I think that's kind of a burial, and I hate using that word, and I'm so careful to use that word, but I'll tell you what.
WWE likes to just be like, oh, he's associating with the former world champion, and that elevates him because he's never really done that before.
But see, though, and, like, I'll be honest, most of the time, I can sigh and let it go, but Seth Rollins straight up called Cesaro the biggest waste of potential in WWE history and has told him repeatedly, you'll never realize your potential.
And the WWE loves making heels right.
But see, like, again, you have to understand, just to reiterate, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying that if you're right, I'm using the B word, and I'm saying that's a fucking burial of Cesaro. Because when you say about an act, you're the biggest waste of potential, and you're never going to realize your potential, and then at Mania, fucking Mania, you prove the heel right? Like, I've already said repeatedly over the years, to be fair, that, like, I've given up hope on Cesaro. But after that, when it really seems like they're turning the burners up, if fucking, you know, to use that name, because I haven't used it all this time, fucking Sethington beats Cesaro, that's a crock of shit. Like, you've immediately taken the wind out of my sails. However, if you have Cesaro win, and that doesn't even guarantee that he challenged Roman, mind you, but if you have Seth win, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking, well, he just beat a former member of the Shield. How about he goes after another former Shield member? They're the only one left in the fucking company because, you know, fucking Moxley's doing AEW and go after the champion. To me, if they don't have Cesaro beat Seth, it's really going to take me the wind out of my sails on the night that that's happening because I'm going to be like, wow, you really were turning the burners up on him finally with some real concrete shit with a singles Mania match and you didn't pull the fucking trigger. That's really disappointing to me if that happens. Again, not saying you're wrong. It's WWE. We should be totally prepared. I'm just saying if they do it, to me, you fucking buried the dude, honestly. So that's kind of my retort with that. Roman Reigns and Adam Pearce. He comes in and, you know, Roman pretty much tries to strong-arm Pearce. Like, Daniel Bryan has no business in this match. You know, I'm not thanking you for shooting down Daniel's request. You thank us. You know what you need to do. You know what you have to do, blah, blah, blah. Pierce says, I'm going to make my decision at the end of the night, and thank you. Yeah, I guess kind of throwing back to Roman, oh, you're supposed to thank us. Well, thank you. We get entrances for a six-man tag, Biggie and the Street Profits. We find out they're facing Apollo and Alpha Academy. We'll get to that in a moment. Actually, we can get to that right now because we already touched on Seth Rollins' interview. That was mainly a segment to get the match made for Cesaro and Seth at Mania and with the few swings.
To get the swing in, too.
Yes. I will never, ever, ever be swung by Cesaro again. Ever, ever, ever. Oh no, I'm being swung again. No. Oh, Seth, you're cracking like an egg, baby. Like an egg.
Oh my God, you always have to say it twice.
I do. I really do. So we get our 6-man tag, Big E and Street Profits versus Apollo and Alpha Academy. You know what? Since I know you were home for this stuff because you were able to talk about the interview and stuff, what did you think about the 6-man tag?
It was all right. I don't like how much. Or actually, no. You know what? This was a 6-man tag, so both Mysterios were in this, right?
No, dude. No, it was Apollo and Alpha
Ray.
Academy. No, dude. Ray had Dolph Ziggler later in the night. You're thinking of the match he had with Dolph Ziggler. The 6-man tag.
Oh, right. It was a 1-on-1 Ray and Dolph, and then like Rude and Dominic were on the outside. Okay, I'm sorry. I just.
No, dude, it's cool. It's cool. I know you had like a very busy night tonight.
Yeah.
No, the 6-man tag was Big E and Street Profits versus Apollo and Alpha Academy.
Okay.
Do you want me to just talk about that, or
just to be clear, I had this on, but I don't remember much of it.
Okay, that's fine, dude. I'm gonna be honest, man. Just to kind of take the reins back. Alpha Academy has really grown on me.
They're really good. They're awesome.
Otis is a freak. Dude, Gable had one moment in this match. Him and Ford, man, are a bunch of freaks. I don't know what WWE is feeding these fucking people and catering. They're slipping something in the food. Where, like, Ford tries to do a springboard. Gable intercepts him and uses Ford's own momentum to hit a Northern Lights suplex. It was fucking gorgeous. I love technical wrestling. I love legitimate mat wrestlers. Especially ones with personality, like fucking Gable. Otis had a great thing where he caught Ford in midair, and he hit a power slam. This match had great energy to me. I honestly had fun with it. For like a random-ass 6-man tag, well, not random, because, you know, there are parts here. I mean, Big E and Apollo, opposite sides, and we know the tag division, like Alpha Academy and Street Profits, both feel they have claims to the tag titles. But yeah, this just had great fucking energy. Big E came in. He was belly-to-belly suplexing Gable out of his boots. But then when he tried going for big ending, I love that Chad actually grabs the arm out of nowhere and tries to counter Big E there. And then it just kind of devolves. And then Gable and Otis get their German discus clothesline double team on Dawkins. And that was like a sick fucking visual. And then Apollo tags himself in because originally, like, Gable and Ford, I think, are interacting, but Gable slides out, but then Ford dives on both him and Otis, and then it comes down to Apollo and Big E, and Apollo hits, I guess what we can now start calling the Apollo Slam over the Angle Slam, and he pins Big E. He fucking pins Big E in the match, so it's like, oh, because we know that Apollo's getting another shot against Big E at Mania for the Intercontinental title, which I will say, and they still have time to change it, so far it doesn't have a stipulation, and I don't like that. I want like a street fight or a stairs match or something for these guys, because you can't just do another regular match. Especially because, I wonder what the first, hold on, I just want to Google something real quick, because this is WrestleMania 37, right?
Yeah.
I want to see the next pay-per-view after 37, because if it's anything other than Extreme Rules, I don't understand why you wouldn't just do a stip now.
It's probably Money in the Bank, isn't it?
They don't even have what's listed next in the chronology on Wikipedia. It might be Money in the Bank, though, dude. That's a good point.
I think Money in the Bank was after Mania last year.
WWE, let me just look one more time, pay-per-view schedule 2021, and see what we got here. I just want to, sorry guys, I'm just curious, and I would like it
so
to
I'm just looking CBS.
Yeah, it is Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
Wow.
Extreme
yeah, so
Rules, it looks like is in July. It says here that Money in the Bank, then we've got Backlash in June, then there's an NXT UK takeover also in June, Extreme Rules in July, SummerSlam in August, Payback in most likely September, Clash of Champions, Hell in a Cell, Survivor Series, and then of course TLC at the end of the year.
Yeah, so really hope that it gets a stip now with Extreme Rules being so far away, and like obviously the feud shouldn't go on that long, Jesus Christ.
Why not?
Well, I mean, because you figure, when did the feud even start? Like, dude, you figure July is still like another 4 months. Well, probably less, because Extreme Rules will probably be like in the middle of July. But like, I feel like it going on that long might be a bit excessive. And I've liked both guys, but
yeah. I've been enjoying this feud. Really, though, I just hope Apollo beats Big E for the title at Mania and Big E moves up into the main event scene.
I've got my own thoughts about that, but I'll save that more for preview and predictions. But yeah, match ends
I
again.
also wonder if we're going to keep the draft this year around October time like we've been doing, or if we're going to move it back to where it was, which is right after Mania.
Ooh, that's a good point. Yeah, I hadn't thought
It's
about
like the
that.
last, like 2 years ago, 2019, when SmackDown first moved to Fox, they did an initial draft in like October, I think it was. And then last year they did another draft slash shakeup, I don't know what they called it, in October. But prior to that, they had been doing shakeups every single April after Mania. So I'm wondering if there's going to be like a return to normal on that, or if it really is just going to stay in October and that's just going to be the new time for it. I just don't like that because that's literally right before Survivor Series, and then like we talked about it this past year, you've got guys who have been on their brand for a grand total of like a month and a half, going to war for their brand. It makes no sense at all.
My fidelity is now to Raw, even though I spent so much time on SmackDown.
Yeah, that's why I really wish they would move the draft back to being right after Mania, because that gives the guys like 7 months at least to be able to really have some pride in their brand.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel you, man. I feel you on that. But yeah, Apollo beats Big E in the tag here, and it's another win for Alpha Academy that are looking so good right now. We again get Adam Pearce and Edge backstage. Edge, again, much like Roman, trying to strong arm Pearce, saying, look, I won the Royal Rumble. Bryan's already had 2 shots. He lost. It should be me and Roman in the main event. Pearce reiterates, hey, I'm going to make my decision at the end of the night. And then Edge kind of threatens Pearce. He says, well, I hope you make the right decision. And just kind of walks off. Or I mean, he might have even said, you better make the right decision. But yeah, it was very threatening language. We get the Kevin Owens show with Sami Zayn. We already kind of talked about that in the heat of the night, so we can just kind of bypass that. Ends with Kevin Owens stunning Sami Zayn, and we know that they've got a match now at WrestleMania. But I guess the only other noteworthy thing is, next week, Sami's got the red carpet premiere of the trailer for his documentary, and Logan Paul is going to be his guest of honor. Don't care for Logan Paul at all. I'm going to keep that succinct. But I will say, WWE, I think this is one of the smarter ways that you bring like a social media kind of titan into the product. So good stuff. After that, we get Daniel Bryan and Adam Pearce. Daniel Bryan, more of a tranquilo approach. Just says, hey, Adam, you already know what the right decision is. I just hope you make it. And then we get Bianca Belair cutting a promo. And Bianca, it was a great promo, spoken with a lot of conviction. I loved one line she had that stuck out with me, because she said like all the things that her mom taught her, and she said her mom taught her to be the bigger person in situations like this. So she was the bigger person on Sunday at Fastlane, so she could be the better person at WrestleMania, and I love that. And she acknowledges, Sasha's the boss, the standard, the blueprint. I'm just a little bit better. And so Bianca's betting on herself, and I like that. I like that she can have confidence in herself as a babyface without, like, denouncing Sasha, because obviously she's the fucking champion. And again, that being bigger now so I can be better later, love that line. Love that line. Really excited for Sasha Bianca. I really hope they main event night 1 of Mania.
Well, I saw the hashtag. I saw it.
Yeah, dude, I'm pushing for it. I will say, too, another nitpick on the show, not enough Bayley on it. I've been thinking a lot about her lately.
How do we not get an episode of Ding Dong Hello every goddamn week?
I was even thinking about tweeting. I give this show 0 ding-dongs out of 5.
Yeah, you should get negative ding-dongs for not having her on 2 weeks in a row.
Because even though I really enjoyed this episode, like, Bayley has a presence where I know when she's not on the show. Like, yeah. And that's the biggest compliment I can give her, is like her absence is felt.
Yeah.
So Bianca says she's going to take care of business with Natalya, and so we get Bianca versus Natalya. Not a bad match. It's whatever. Obviously, Natalya and Tamina, they have eyes on Tag Team Gold. Sasha does come out at one point and she joins commentary. She's talking her shit. At one point she says, I'm not getting the respect that I deserve. I'm a 5-time Raw Women's Champion, and she goes through all of her accolades. Bianca ends up on the outside at one point. Sasha's talking her shit, like, oh, I thought you were the EST, and you're Bianca and all this stuff. Bianca gets up, she's jaw dragging it with Sasha, and then she slaps Sasha, so she gives her a receipt, which that's really cool. Gets back in the ring. You think Natalya is going to be able to capitalize, but Bianca actually intercepts her with a forearm, stuns Natalya enough to get the KOD, and the win. So Bianca looking strong enough to handle both Sasha and Natalya and come out with the W. So good shit there. She's celebrating, and Sasha blasts her from behind. So Sasha does stand tall to end the segment. But now that Reginald's not such a focus and he's not buzzing around these two, I really enjoyed this tonight. Just let these two talk. Let these two believe in themselves. And honestly, that's enough for me. So I'm curious if either Bianca or Sasha will be on Talking Smack tomorrow. I'll have to check it out. But yeah, after that, we get Edge confronting Roman. And, Roman says, it takes a lot of balls to come in here. I almost respect it. But if you don't get to the point, I'm going to let the pit bull off his leash. Yeah, how'd that work out for him last week? Yes, Edge, be angry and entitled. Yes, the bitterness. And then he says, if you have all that stroke that you claim to have, you might want to start using it, because this isn't good for you either, because I can pin Bryan to take your title instead of you. And think about that. And he said even before that, like, you've seen WrestleMania 30, you see what Daniel Bryan does, he worms his way in a match like this. We can't let that happen because he's stealing our spotlight. So, yeah, Edge is trying to kind of collude with Roman to keep Daniel Bryan out of this club.
Politicking Roman to get Roman to politic to the officials.
Exactly. Look at you, Edge. Oh God. I know you don't say against like Sami Zayn, but they really are stacking the deck against you despite winning the Rumble.
I mean, he is Canadian. He probably does, actually.
Yeah.
It's a Canadian accent thing.
Then we get Rey Mysterio versus Dolph Ziggler. I will say, even though it's Dolph and fuck him, there was one impressive visual, and I have to give credit to the camera work here and everything, and just Dolph and Rey. He powerbombed him into the fucking Shadow Realm. I mean, even though we know it's the Thunderdome. But it really looked like he jackknifed Rey over that barricade and he fucking killed him. And then when Dominic's like, no, Dad, you're my ticket to relevance, Dolph super kicks him. And I'm like, probably the most babyface thing you've done in a minute. Then we actually, just have the match and, it's whatever. I know Dolph, and it could have been a cool visual. It came off a little sloppy to me. Intercepting Rey's springboard with a zigzag. I understand, like, what you were going for, and I'll give you credit for at least trying it to get a pop. Could have been a bit cleaner, though. Rey ultimately does win the match. So, again, it's going to be a multi-team schmaz at WrestleMania, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Rey and Dominic won, because I have been saying and not shutting the fuck up about, WWE is going to be like, they're father and son, and now a new Bond tag team champions. Clap, everyone, please. No, don't tell me what to do. After that,
okay,
we get Roman, Edge, and Bryan. Pierce has summoned them all. And he says, everybody's got a fair point. So because of that, we're doing a triple threat at Mania, lulz. I'm getting out of here. And yeah, it devolves into chaos with Edge standing tall, wanting to do a concerto to Bryan. Holy shit, Edge, that's hardcore. What did you think about this, man?
Wait, I'm sorry. Is this the end of the show? Because I told you I missed the last 20 minutes.
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry. You missed the last 20 minutes. So, yeah, Edge just goes ballistic on both guys with the steel chair.
I did hear this happening from the bathroom, unfortunately, which is where I was for the last 20 minutes. But
Okay.
Yeah, I heard it happening. I heard everything that was going on, and it sounded like Edge was losing his fucking mind.
Yeah, dude, he popped off. Like, damn, it's my WrestleMania, mine. And like, yes, Edge, you shouldn't be happy. You shouldn't be content. Feed the anger, Edge. This is what we wanted. He hit WWE officials with the chair. I think he got Noble. I don't know if Roberts is like a WWE visual or what, but he hit somebody that looked like Sam Roberts, and if that was the case, that's why I said you're a tweener, Edge, because you're a little bit babyface and a little bit heel, and that shit, primo babyface right there. Good shit. Hit Sam Roberts with chairs more often. Hashtag brandish Roberts with a chair. And yeah, Edge is just like making a menacing face in the camera to end SmackDown. He's all violently breathing like, my main event. And it's amazing. Like, I am so concerned for him, and yet I just want to push him further into the darkness. It's beautiful, really. It's great. So, yeah, we've got a heel angry, I'm no longer giving a fuck because you guys fucked with me one time too many Edge, a guy that believes he's a mob boss in Roman Reigns, and Daniel Bryan, who's just like, but guys, I made him tap out. Will somebody listen to me? Bryan. I don't know about you. That's an amazing WrestleMania main event to me. I'm here for it. So let's get to our next segment. High spots, low shots. I guess I'll go first. My low shot is fucking Roman Reigns, because his chances of winning drastically just went down with Daniel Bryan being added here. went from 50% to 33 and a third percent. Damn, that's some cruel Steiner math, Roman. So yeah, Roman is my low shot, and really he got called out because I guess he doesn't have the stroke that he thought he did. Who's your low shot, bud?
I think I'm gonna have to make my low shot Big E, just because like you're the Intercontinental Champion and you got pinned in a tag match. That's rough.
Yeah, that is rough, man. Oof.
Yeah.
But high spot, I gotta tell you, high spot to me, even for the beating he took tonight, is Daniel Bryan, because he got what he wanted. He wanted to win the Rumble to get to the main event of WrestleMania because it could be his last chance. Wanted to win at Fastlane because it could be his last chance, and he did make Roman tap out. Well, now his heart can rest easy because he's going to be in that match at WrestleMania, and it very well could be his last one. We don't know, but I'm treating it like it is because he said it might be. So this is a big night for Bryan, and I'm sure he'll take every welt that the chair left him if it meant getting that match. So Bryan's my high spot.
All right. Who's my high spot? Bianca, because she won despite distraction.
That's an excellent pick. All right, guys, with that said, this has been Friday Night Smackdown. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my coordinate commentary. Guys, be sure to like the video as you file out. More so because we had 2 dislikes. We're at a 1-to-1 ratio with like and dislike. Bitches. I know, dude. I was legitimately offended.
How fucking dare?
Yeah. I was legitimately offended. I thought we were putting out great energy for this. They apparently disagreed. Or maybe it's the energy was, I'm okay with Bryan being in the main event, and the 2 dislikes were people that maybe aren't so okay.
The absolute nerve.
The unmitigated gall, for sure. But yeah, if you guys want to even us out, or not even us out, get us over the hill in terms of the likes, please leave a like as you file out. The more likes you leave, the more likely we are to be the top result for SmackDown reviews on YouTube. And when you're the best at what you do, the top is the only place that you belong. So please leave that like, click the bell icon, subscribe, so you never get miss any of that TWitWoW goodness. Comment down below. I haven't said this in a while, but talk to us. The only question: how do you feel about Roman Reigns and Edge now becoming a triple threat match involving Daniel Bryan? That seems to be the most hot button topic, the most worthwhile question to ask. How do you feel about it? Talk to us about it. Check out everything we're involved in the description box. Check out the TWitWoW Patreon and see what tiers we offer. Because, if you donate enough money, you'll be able to request that we live react to a show of your choosing. We did a John Cena matchathon recently for DBK where we live reacted to 5 John Cena matches, so you can check out our tier breakdowns. If you donate $1 to the Patreon, you get 2 additional Q&A questions. Q&A for next month, guys, I think is on the 29th. April 29th, last Thursday of every month. Non-Patreon donors only get 3 Q&A questions. So if you donate the $1 and you get 2, that means you get 5 Q&A questions total if you are a Patreon donor. As I've started suggesting, I would just go ahead and donate a whole $3 because you get the Q&A questions and you get access to the TWitWoW Discord. Really cool community, really chill place, and we do Among Us Mondays. What's there not to love? So, yeah, follow us both on Twitter. I'm at John_TWitWoW. He's at Ashton_TWitWoW. My pinned tweet is to collect Q&A questions. I've seen people already take advantage of this. Good. Keep doing that, please. Very easy to keep track of. As far as Ashton's pinned tweet, it is the TWitWoW schedule. And just to go over the remaining days in March, we've got nothing for this weekend and on Monday. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday, we are off. Tuesday, the 30th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, we're covering Stardom's Korakuen show, live reactions. Then Wednesday, 31st, we're going to be back with Stardom, so back-to-back Stardom. This is their March 28th show. That's going to be live reacted to at 5. And then, of course, our NXT review at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. And then, beginning of April, to round out this schedule on the pin tweet, April 2nd, 5 p.m., Stardom's March 28th evening show, live reactions, because they're doing 2 shows on the 28th. So, guys, that's everything we're doing. Thank you for joining us for our SmackDown review. We greatly appreciate it. You guys are freaking awesome. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other as we're on the road to WrestleMania. We'll see you again for that Stardom reaction again at 4 p.m. on Tuesday, I believe I said. Mm-hmm. And, Tuesday at 4.
5, isn't it?
Tuesday at 4 you have on the schedule. Tuesday, March 30th is the next.
I wonder why I did that. That's interesting.
Did you mean to put 5? Should I say 5?
Hell if I know, man. We'll just stick with 4. That's fine.
All right, 4 p.m.
It's weird,
Tuesday,
but I probably had a reason for it that I'm not thinking of right now.
There you go.
It's a
All right, guys.
Show, and I don't want to risk us going past 7.
There you go. All right, guys. Well, you heard it here. Tuesday 30th at 4 p.m. Stardom Reactions. Till then, tune in. Peace out.